The typical portrayal of women in the period between the 1950s through the 1970s differs from the emerging image of a modern successful businesswoman of the 20th century. Before the feminist movement in the 1960s began, women had to produce children, stay at home with them all day long, and cook the most incredible dinners for their husbands while he is busy with more important things. For the most part, a woman in that period of time was less likely to have an occupation that was more often shown as a spouse or a parent. A woman in the 1950s through 60s was pictured predominantly as a provider of life, a perfect mother and wife with the primary duties of cleaning up the house, preparing the food, and taking full responsibility in the education of children. A woman was not encouraged to become independent from her man. Let's say she was forced by man society to remain in her position of a housewife inside the kitchen walls and condemned to accept fighting all alone with the daily routine.
Beneath is a prime example of a young woman in the 1950s who wants to prove society and her family wrong. She wants to provide for her family and become the impossible. By aspiring to be a doctor, she will show her brother that she is capable of doing what most men perceive as impossible for a woman. Beneatha is perseverant and strives to be the best she can possibly be. When it comes to education, the common expectation is for the woman not to get any. Most families of color do not have a lot of money to spend on their children to go to school, but when they do, they send the boy to go to school rather than the girl because the boy is supposed to make a living for their future family. Women's hair in the 1950s was not as sophisticated as the years ahead. The hair was shorter, looser, and less worked than previous decades of waves, pink curls, and Victoria rolls. Women's 1950s hair came in short, medium, and long styles, matching their personality of the woman. Each cut was as unique as the woman, shaping her face and giving her a style that only belonged to her. 1950s fashion women's dresses were all about good grooming and tailored looks. The full billowy skirt and natural waistline was quite popular for a number of dresses during V and mani dresses were sleeveless or had long wide collars and V-necks. There are the classic dress shapes of the 1950s. The most popular style today is very classic look was the form-fitting sheath dress, often called pencil or wiggle dresses today. Fashion accessories dominated the world of fashion in the 1950s. A 1950s woman wasn't considered well-dressed unless she accessorized from head to toe. Every outfit was planned down to the last detail. Many of the 1950s fashion accessories are still popular and worn today. The 1950s were a decade of glamour, fashion, and fashion accessories. Pearls were also a necessity. Collars and cuffs were often trimmed with fur. Stoles were also made of fur as well as lace or silk and worn on all dressy occasions. Clutch handbags and beaded purses were also a necessity. Charm bracelets dangled from their wrists in annual kings added.
The history of feminism can be divided into three waves. The first feminist wave was in the 19th and 20th centuries. The second was in the 1960s and 70s, and the third extends from the 1990s to the present. Feminist theory emerged from these feminist movements. It is manifested in a variety of disciplines such as feminist geography, feminist history, and feminist literary criticism.
During much of its history, most feminist movements and theories had leaders who were predominantly middle-class white women from Western Europe and North America. However, at least in Sojourner Truth's 1851 speech to American feminists, women of other races have proposed alternative feminisms. This trend accelerated in the 1960s with the civil rights movement in the United States and the collapse of European colonialism in Africa, Caribbean parts of Latin America, and Southeast Asia. Since that time, women in former European colonies and the Third World have proposed post-colonial and Third World feminisms. Some post-colonial feminists, such as Chandra Talpade Mohanty, are critical of Western feminism for being ethnocentric. Black feminists, such as Angela Davis and Alice Walker, share this view.